Hello, everyone. I am a storyteller, and I am here to offer my support today. I understand that you are likely using this video to help you drift off to sleep. Before we begin, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would also be interested to know where you are located and what time it is for you. Now please get comfortable and take a moment to relax. Saranac Lake, a quiet town nestled deep in the Adirondack Mountains, was known for its serene beauty. But locals whispered of something lurking in the woods beyond the lake, something that didn't belong in this world. One evening, Alex Carter, a freelance photographer, arrived in town. He had heard rumors of strange lights appearing over the lake at night and wanted to capture them. Renting a small cabin near the shore, he set up his camera and waited. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the lake became eerily still. A thick fog rolled in, swallowing the trees and water in a ghostly white haze. Then it happened. A dim bluish glow flickered above the water, shifting and pulsating like a living thing. Alex quickly snapped pictures, but when he glanced at his camera screen, his heart pounded. There was something else in the frame. A figure stood on the opposite shore, tall, unnaturally thin, its face obscured by the mist. It didn't move. It simply watched. Alex shivered. Just a trick of the fog, he muttered. But when he looked up again, the figure was gone. Deciding to investigate, he grabbed his flashlight and walked along the water's edge. The air grew colder with each step. The silence was deafening. Then a whisper, a raspy, broken sound, echoed through the trees. "Go! Back!" Alex spun around, shining his light into the darkness. Nothing. Just shadows and twisted branches. Suddenly, the ground beneath him softened. Looking down, he realized he was standing in something dark and wet. Not water, not mud. It was red. Panic surged through him. He turned to run, but slammed into something solid. He looked up and saw it. The figure, no longer across the lake, but right in front of him. Its hollow eyes gleamed in the darkness. Its mouth twisted into an unnatural grin. Then everything went black. The next morning, Alex's camera was found on the shore, its lens cracked. The last photo showed the lake, the fog, and a figure standing in the mist. But no one ever found Alex. To this day, some say his voice can still be heard on foggy nights, whispering the same warning, "Go. Back." A week after Alex Carter vanished, his disappearance became the talk of Saranac Lake. The locals warned outsiders to stay away from the shore at night, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. Enter Emily Hughes, a paranormal investigator with a popular online channel. When she heard about Alex's last known whereabouts and the eerie photo left behind, she knew this was the perfect case for her next video. Armed with night vision cameras and a spirit box, she arrived at the same cabin Alex had rented. The first night was uneventful. No strange lights, no whispers, just the endless, suffocating silence of the woods. But on the second night, things changed. At exactly 2:17 a.m., her camera picked up a flicker of blue light hovering over the water. She grabbed her equipment and whispered into her mic, "If anyone is here, please give me a sign." The lake responded. A ripple formed on the water, spreading outward in slow, deliberate waves. Then from the far side of the shore, a shadow moved. Emily froze. Something was coming. She turned on the spirit box. A burst of static crackled through the speaker. Then a faint voice, distorted, barely audible. "Go! Back!" Her blood ran cold. That voice, it sounded like Alex. A chill crept up her spine as she aimed her flashlight toward the woods. The beam cut through the mist, revealing a figure standing motionless among the trees. Tall, thin, hollow-eyed. Before she could react, The figure lunged toward her. The flashlight flickered. Her camera cut to black. The next morning, Emily's equipment was found near the lake, covered in damp leaves. The footage, though corrupted, captured a single chilling frame. A face, Alex's face, but his eyes were gone, and his mouth twisted into a silent scream. Locals say Emily never left Saranac Lake. Some claim they see her reflection in the water on foggy nights, her mouth moving in silent terror. But if you listen closely, you might hear her whisper the same warning. Go back. Months passed since Emily vanished, but the legend of Saranac Lake only grew stronger. Hikers, campers, and even seasoned locals began reporting strange occurrences. Whispers in the mist, shadowy figures watching from the trees, and, most disturbingly, unfamiliar footprints appearing along the shore. The town tried to ignore it until the lake started giving something back. One chilly autumn morning, Sheriff Dan Mercer received a frantic call. A fisherman had discovered a body floating near the docks. When the sheriff and his deputy arrived, they expected the worst, but what they found was impossible. The body was Emily Hughes. Her skin was ice cold, her clothes damp but intact. No signs of bloating, no decay, as if she had just drowned that very night. But she had been missing for nearly 3 months. As they prepared to move her, her lips parted, and she gasped. Emily was alive. She was rushed to the local hospital, where she remained unresponsive, her eyes open but vacant, her mouth moving in soundless whispers. The only words anyone could make out were, "They're still down there. They're still waiting." That night, against every warning, a group of teenagers dared each other to go night swimming in the lake. They laughed at the stories, calling them ghost tales for tourists. But only one of them came back. Drenched and trembling, the survivor, Mark Bennett, was found running barefoot through town screaming, "They're in the water! They're in the water!" When he finally calmed down enough to speak, his story made the sheriff's blood run cold. The teens had swum out to the center of the lake, laughing and splashing. Then beneath them, something moved. At first, they thought it was just lake weeds brushing against their feet. Then hands reached up from the deep, pale, ice cold, pulling them down. Mark swore he saw Emily among them, her lifeless face staring up at him from the depths. But it wasn't just her. There were others, dozens, maybe hundreds, faces frozen in agony, mouths opening and closing in desperate silent screams. He barely made it back to shore. His friends never surfaced. The lake was searched. No bodies were found. Now no one dares go near Saranac Lake after dark. The locals say the drowned ones are still waiting for the next foolish soul to step too close to the water's edge. And if you listen carefully on a foggy night, you might hear their voices rising from the depths, whispering that same dreadful warning, "Go back." Saranac Lake had always been a quiet town, but after the disappearance of the teenagers, fear crept into every corner. The once popular lake was now avoided, the shore eerily empty even in the daylight. Sheriff Dan Mercer, a man who never believed in ghost stories, was running out of explanations. People were vanishing. Their bodies were never found, yet their voices were heard in the mist. And Emily Hughes, though physically present, was lost, her mind trapped somewhere else. But one night she finally woke up. It was just after midnight when the hospital staff heard a shriek from her room. By the time they arrived, Emily was sitting upright, her eyes wild with terror. She grabbed the nurse's wrist, her nails digging into flesh. "You have to stop them." Her voice was raw, desperate. "Stop who?" the nurse asked. Emily's gaze darkened. She shook her head violently. "They want more. They're pulling them down, but they're not drowning. They're changing. Before anyone could ask what she meant, she began to seize. Her body convulsed, her lips forming silent words. The machines around her flatlined. Emily Hughes was gone, but her warning had come too late. That same night, a storm rolled over the lake. The winds howled, the water churned violently, and the fog grew so thick it swallowed everything. Trees bent under the weight of an unseen force. And then, the town lost power. For exactly 6 minutes and 33 seconds, Saranac Lake was plunged into absolute darkness. No phones, no lights, no sound, except for the wind in the lake's restless waters. When the lights flickered back on, something was wrong. The town's population had decreased. 23 people, men, women, children, had vanished without a trace. Their doors were unlocked. Their beds were empty. No footprints, no signs of struggle. And on the shore of Saranac Lake, where the sand met the mist, 23 sets of wet footprints led directly into the water, but there were none leading back out. The town that never spoke again. After that night, no one spoke of Saranac Lake's disappearances. The remaining townsfolk left one by one, abandoning their homes, their shops, their memories. By winter, Saranac Lake became a ghost town. No tourists, no visitors, no life. Only the lake remained. And on some nights, if you stand on the shore and listen closely, you might hear them, the voices of the lost, rising from the water, whispering the same dreadful warning, go back. But by then, it's already too late. For years, Saranac Lake sat abandoned, a place frozen in time. Nature slowly reclaimed the empty buildings. Windows cracked, roads faded. The lake, once a peaceful retreat, remained unnaturally still. No one dared enter, until one man did. His name was Ethan Graves, a journalist obsessed with urban legends. He had covered ghost towns before, but nothing like Saranac Lake. No official records explained why people left. No one would talk about it. It was as if the town had been erased from history. That only made him more determined. Armed with a camera, a flashlight, and a notebook, Ethan arrived at sunset, driving past the rusting "Welcome to Saranac Lake" sign, its letters barely visible beneath years of moss and decay. The streets were silent, no birds, no wind, only the distant shimmer of the lake. The cabin by the water, Ethan made his way to an old lakeside cabin, the same one Alex Carter and Emily Hughes had stayed in. Dust covered everything inside, yet the air smelled damp, like something had just stepped out of the water. On the cabin table sat something strange, a camera, old, cracked. Alex's camera. Ethan's hands trembled as he turned it on. The screen flickered, corrupted images flashing like static. Then one final clear photo appeared, a figure standing in the mist. It wasn't Alex. It wasn't Emily. It was him. Ethan gasped, dropping the camera. He spun toward the door, but the handle was ice cold. Then from the lake, a voice. Go back. The return of the drowned ones. The wind howled. The lake began to churn, as if something beneath the surface was waking up. A thick fog rolled toward him, fast, too fast. And then he saw them, figures, dozens of them, emerging from the water. Their bodies were pale, bloated, eyes hollow. Their mouths opened and closed, whispering in unison. Go back. Go back. Ethan stumbled, his breath ragged. He turned to run, but they were already behind him. He screamed, and the lake swallowed him whole. The town that sealed itself. Days later, Ethan's car was found on the outskirts of town, engine running. The doors were open, keys in the ignition, but Ethan was gone. No one searched for him. No one spoke his name. Because Saranac Lake is not a place you leave. It is a place that takes. And if you ever find yourself near its dark waters, if you hear a whisper in the fog, heed the warning. Go back, or the lake will claim you too. The first crew arrived in early spring. Engineers, surveyors, workers. They set up equipment, cleared roads, and drilled into the frozen lake bed. That was the mistake. By the second week, workers started disappearing. First, it was one man. The team assumed he left, until they found his footprints leading into the lake, and none coming back. Then another, and another. The remaining crew reported strange whispers at night. Their equipment malfunctioned. Drones flying over the lake crashed without explanation. Then one evening, the lake moved. A wave surged up despite the windless air. The fog grew thick, swallowing the construction site. And then, the screaming started. At exactly 3:33 a.m., the site's security cameras caught something terrifying. Workers running in all directions, floodlights flickering, and from the lake, the figures emerged. They weren't ghosts. They were something worse. Pale, twisted, rotting but alive. The lost ones, the drowned ones. They moved like shadows, whispering in a voice that echoed through the valley. Go. Back. The footage cut to static. By morning, every worker was gone. Their gear was left behind. The trucks, the drills, untouched. The project was abandoned. Mason Industries never returned. Now Saranac Lake remains silent. The buildings stand, untouched by time. The lake's surface is still, but something is awake beneath it. Something waiting. And if you ever drive near those empty roads, if you ever see the mist rolling in from the water, do not stop. Do not look back. Because once Saranac Lake sees you, it never forgets. Saranac Lake remained untouched, a cursed place where nature had reclaimed the ruins of a forgotten town. No one dared return. No one, except the government. After the Mason Industries disaster, whispers reached the highest levels of the military. A secret task force, Unit 77, was deployed to uncover the truth. Their mission? Locate any missing personnel. Investigate the strange anomalies surrounding the lake. Determine if the town could be reoccupied. They arrived in the dead of night, armed with the latest technology, thermal scanners, sonar equipment, electromagnetic sensors. Their base was set up in the old sheriff's station, untouched since the last townsfolk fled. By dawn, things were already going wrong. Thermal cameras picked up movement near the lake, but there was nothing there. The sonar scans detected shapes beneath the water, moving shapes. One soldier, Private Cole, was assigned to patrol the shoreline. His radio crackled, static. Then a voice. Help me. It was Emily Hughes, the voice of a woman who had died years ago. Cole turned, his flashlight cutting through the thick morning mist. His breath caught in his throat. A figure stood at the water's edge, tall, soaking wet. Its face was blank, no eyes, no mouth, just smooth, stretched skin. Cole tried to scream, but the thing lunged. The camera feed cut to black. One by one, the soldiers vanished. Radios filled with distorted voices. Equipment failed. Then the lake started to move. The water rose, not like a wave, but like something was pushing up from below. And then they came, the lost ones, no longer human, no longer dead. Their hollow faces turned toward the remaining soldiers, their mouths twisted into silent screams. Unit 77 never stood a chance. Weeks later, another government team arrived to retrieve Unit 77. They found no bodies, no signs of a struggle, just an abandoned town and wet footprints leading from the water back into the buildings. Something had returned. Now, Saranac Lake is no longer just a ghost town. It is watching, waiting. And if you ever drive too close, if you ever hear a whisper from the trees, go back, because the lake is still hungry. The end, the lost ones. No longer human, no longer dead. Their hollow faces turned toward the remaining soldiers, their mouths twisted into silent screams. Unit 77 never stood a chance.